Welcome to another episode of the Leverage Podcast. I am your host, John Davidson. Today is my pleasure to have Carey Hughes joining me, principal broker of Carey Hughes Homes. If there is one slogan, an unofficial slogan she might have for her real estate business, it might be, Carey, I'm thinking, just do it.
Very familiar to me. Yes, it is.
Tell me why that slogan is familiar.
Oh, that means Nike. And Nike was part of my beginnings. I am an Oregonian true and true. And that means born and raised in the Portland, Beaverton area. Saw Nike come to life in
Wow.
the 70s. It was a household name even at that point. I remember getting a good report card, and the only thing I wanted as a gift was a pair of Nikes as a child. So, and then growing up and going to the University of Oregon, where Nike was such a large presence there in the running community. And then to graduating with a business degree and going to work for Nike in as my first job out of college. And
Wow.
yeah, so it's a true Beaverton, Oregon story.
That's right. I have a little bit of a connection there. I used to run a business. We did design and animation, and we're blessed to do quite a few number of projects for Nike. And so we would head up to Beaverton. My brother lives in Portland, so I go up to visit him from time to time as well. But my greatest memory going to the Nike campus, number one, all those buildings are
Yes.
super cool. You've got the Michael Jordan building, and you got the Tiger Woods building. I think there's a Mia Hamm building, and
Yeah, I was there when the campus opened.
really, that's
Yeah.
exciting. Wow, yeah, and it's a beautiful one. But the one building that's my favorite on the campus, can you guess?
Oh, where the food was?
The employee store.
Oh, the employee store, which wasn't on campus. That's why I was thrown off.
Oh, see, that's my naivete. It's been a while, and I just remember being in the area, so it's not on campus, it's nearby.
It's nearby, yes.
But for those listening who have not had the great privilege of visiting the employee store, everything's 50% off.
Yeah.
There's no sales tax because you're in Oregon, unless you ship something. That's what I learned. So if you are shipping something back home to Dallas, Texas, you got to pay tax on that. But just the ability to ship stuff is pretty dangerous when you're going in that store and you're seeing the coolest shoes of all time.
Yeah.
At a great price. But enough about Nike. We are here to talk about real estate and talk about what you have built at Carey Hughes Homes. First, Carey, take me through where you were in your life and what you were thinking when you said, you know what, I'm going to step away from corporate America, from the shoe business, and I'm going to enter real estate.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people thought I was crazy. Because, Nike was such a great place to work, which it absolutely was. But I was in my early 30s and just had my first child. And I could not keep up with the travel and the incredible long hours. And I just felt like I wasn't doing anything right as far as taking care of my family and my daughter or my career. So I just knew I needed a change. And it was definitely before there was a better work-life balance and understanding of family life. It was just the beginning of that. And I was working on a women's project, actually, opening women's stores at the time. And I thought, gosh, I could really fight for this and try to make my point as we are opening women's stores and trying to embrace just what it meant to speak to the female consumer.
Sure.
But in the end, I needed something with more balance. And my parents were in real estate, so it's something that I had grown up around, and I never thought I would do it. But once it clicked that I could build my career and run my business from my home and work on my schedule and my schedule based on my clients' needs, it just became a natural choice and it clicked. I've never looked back. and I just love it.
That's incredible. It's so cool that you can have one career, two careers so different from each other, and
Hmm.
really love both and have that season of life. In this one, life happens in very positive ways, of course, having a child. And then the next option just feels like you were meant to be there anyway. I think one thing that's so cool about your business is how you are taking in a lot of the learnings that you experienced from Nike in corporate America, marketing, data, analytics, and bringing them into real estate where it's kind of a wild, wild west, some could say, right? I mean, you can.
It is, yes. And at that time, because this was 2001, there was
Mm,
no online training. It was you went to the office and you talked to other agents. That was really the only way. You learned on the job.
mm,
So I had a great trainer to learn real estate through my parents, but I really applied my approach to business and what I had learned at Nike
mhm.
to growing a real estate business. And it was very ad hoc at the beginning. You know, you're hoping to get your first client and you're hoping to sell a home and learn. But Nike gave me the vision that I could apply to what real estate could be, and
Mhm.
a service strategy of how I know I wanted to care for my clients. And it was second nature. I loved homes, and I loved my neighborhood that I live in still, and it was just a natural connection to bring it all together.
That's wonderful. So, to get a little bit more tangible, share with me what are some of the things that you have implemented into your real estate business that have really been, innovative in this space?
Yeah, well, I jumped forward almost 26 years, and there's been a lot of steps to that. We're to a point where I have a team. It's no longer just me.
Mhm.
So I've got a team. There's three of us as selling agents or brokers,
Mhm.
and then a full-time transaction coordinator who helps keeps everything in order, and then a marketing person that I have added in the last year who it's just been a big change for us and taking us to that next level. And with that, my kids are now almost 27 and 24. So I am now applying myself to the business more than full time. I've always been full time, but now I can see a bigger picture and
Yeah.
really be putting my experience and knowledge gained over the years into an executable strategy. And it all starts with taking care of our clients and making sure that we are guiding based on our expertise and data analytics. I am constantly studying what's happening with the economy, what's happening locally, all the way down to the
Mm.
nuances of the different neighborhoods, looking at inventory, looking at sales, and translating that for our clients, but then also sharing information, because my goal is just to be a resource for real estate in the Beaverton area as a whole,
Mm.
known for that. So we're doubling down not just on my neighborhood is where I've done most of my business marketing
Mhm.
to connect with people that live in the area, but now really expanding that to all of Beaverton and having an approach of everything digital marketing and sharing the information that we know and presenting ourselves as the local business leader in real estate.
I love that when you can position yourself as a thought leader and really be generous about what you're selling or what you're sharing, I should say. And,
Right.
you're doing all this work with this data and all these learnings and everything. And then you are very generously sharing that with everybody else. There are some people who have a view of, oh, I don't want to tell people everything I know because then they're just going to take that and move on. Right.
Right.
And I spoke with a mentor years ago, and I remember him sharing this with me because it changed my mind to be much more open-handed with my knowledge. He said, John, here's the thing. You've spent years learning this, right? you also put in the work that it took to learn this and all of these different steps. And so what you really know this. So anyone you share it with, that's their step one. They just heard you say it.
Right.
This is your step 9 or 10, and you're probably on to step 13, 14, 15 because you never stop learning, right? Share a little bit about the benefits that you've seen in your business because of the generosity that you have with the information that you've gathered.
Well, thank you for acknowledging that, because it truly is our philosophy, is to share the information that we have. I don't want to be a gatekeeper of it. I just want to establish myself as someone that knows what I'm talking about and willing to advise when it comes to real estate, because at some point, someone in their own life or in their friends or family or neighbor's life, they're going to need a real estate expert, and then I hope they think of me at the time. But now I think that sharing and building community and being an approachable person really is the way to create business, because I'm not salesy.
Yeah.
I truly care about the people that I'm helping with their home, because it's a major transition in life. And the more we give, whether it be on social media, sharing really good current market information, announcing a new listing, sharing some community events that might resonate with people, or whether we're hosting an event in the community and inviting people to see a concert in the park, or we do dumpster days in the community where Carey Hughes Homes will order a big dumpster and help everybody unload their cars and dump their junk
Oh, cool. Yeah.
their house.
It's a
We
great
just
benefit.
we just try to do fun things like that connects to the place we live, that connects to everyday life, and allows me to just be present with people rather than trying to pitch why they should work with me. And that's just not what I do.
100%. And I can speak from experience on this because I've, in a past life, been a thought leader in an industry and really focused on producing a lot of content. And my content was primarily on LinkedIn because my business community was on LinkedIn. And I had so many deals come through because I was top of mind, right? The first, somebody here is like, oh, I need to know about X, or I'm going to put on this type of event. It's like, oh, you got to talk to John. I see him on LinkedIn every single morning with a new piece of content, right? And so, in the way that you are demonstrating so well with being generous, I would just encourage our listeners and our viewers as well. This is a great strategy. Number one, it helps you because when you're focused on teaching, you have to learn more and more all the time.
Mhm.
So you have something to share. It gives everyone a positive outlook about you, a lot of positive sentiment about like, oh, this is what a great person sharing all these things, right? And then not coming across salesy is huge, right? I've heard a statement, people don't want to be sold, they want to buy,
Mm. Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so how often, whether it's in a retail store or it's a phone call from a phone number we don't recognize or whatever, we cringe and we avoid it because stop trying to sell me. People are trying to sell me stuff all the time, Carey. I don't
Right.
want to be sold,
Right.
but
Especially when you're not asking for it.
that's right. But I am open to learning. So that is a great thing that you're demonstrating. I'm curious of another thing. You are really putting Beaverton on the map here. And that's got to be just a great feeling and a fun mission to be a native Oregonian, really highlighting the place that you were born and raised and putting it on the map from a real estate standpoint. Talk a little bit about what Beaverton, Oregon has to offer from a real estate perspective.
Yes. Well, it's a wonderful place to raise a family. It's I grew up here, my kids grew up here, and so I do feel deeply connected to it. It's beautiful. It's green. There are trees. It's just a really lovely place to be. First of all, it's it is a little bit of a small town feel within a bigger city. Portland's grown a lot. Portland's really gotten a lot of negative press over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
But Beaverton is like less than 10 miles from Portland, and it's just a very different world. It's the
Yeah.
suburbs. It's the classic burbs living. And it's got good schools, got amazing hiking and walking trails, tons of conveniences with shopping, some great restaurants. Downtown Beaverton is going through kind of a renovation, a rehabilitation, and there's a little historical downtown that the street is opened up, and restaurants are serving outside. There's just a great spirit with it that is evolving as more housing is being brought in. There's been a ton of new construction, and that scares a lot of people. And people are saying, where are these people coming from that are moving here? And there's a lot of people moving out of different counties within the area and moving to Washington County, where Beaverton is. And it's just a great place to be. It really is. Good freeway access. Can go to the beach, can go to the mountains. It's awesome.
And I can tell you there's some great skate parks in the area.
Oh, yeah.
Personal
My son was
experience.
in that for a long time. Yes.
Yeah, feel free to add that to the long list of wonderful amenities of Beaverton, Oregon.
Yeah.
I'm curious, just the current market of real estate, and you can take this whether national or you can take it local, however you would like to take the answer to this question. But people are wondering, will I be able to afford a home, right? And there's a lot of details. I'm not a real estate expert, but you are. Probably a lot of people are hearing things, and it's hard to know what's true, what is the reality, and what my options are. If someone was looking for a home right now, what would you tell them about purchasing a home?
Right now, the market has been quite stable over the course of the last 4 years. Now that the interest rates have been higher, it has created a much slower market. So that means there's more opportunity for a buyer. Yes, the prices are high. We can't get around that. The prices are high. We had an exceptional increase in values during the pandemic period. And since then, we are seeing an adjustment. It's not a drastic adjustment in values in Beaverton, but it is a little bit each year where prices are softening. And this is when a buyer can take advantage and do some negotiation with a seller versus when someday, if interest rates come down, the volume and the activity will instantly pick up again because there are so many people waiting in the wings, and I can speak to that as well. But as soon as those people start shopping again, the appreciation is going to start. And buying during at a time where prices are softening to some degree, not falling out in the bottom, that's absolutely not happening. We've got a good balance of sales and inventory, but it's better to be buying where there's some negotiation room versus when you have to overpay. And that's where the
100%. Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to those moments where people are just outbidding each other, right?
Yeah. And it's still happening in the Portland metro area. There are parts of the town, especially on the east side of Portland, where we are seeing multiple offers, and good homes are selling for well over full price. It hasn't quite happened that way in the suburbs, but it was that way during the pandemic, and we're still adjusting from that.
I appreciate that insight. Now, on the other side of that same coin is the seller, right? So if for the sellers who are listening, what insights would you provide them?
Well, the most important thing is to price right the first time. And that is when you go on the market. You'll never get those first 2 weeks on the market back. and
Yep.
you have to do it right the first time. And I am so sorry if your neighbor next door or across the street or around the block sold in 2020 or 2021
Yeah.
and got a much higher price. You will not get that price today. And
Hmm.
that wasn't a true value. And
Yeah.
now we have to just deal with the market conditions of where buyers are at. We have to meet buyer expectations and price it right to begin with. I spend a lot of time partnering with homeowners early in the process so we can prepare the home. And
Mm.
that doesn't mean doing a lot of upgrades. I'm very cautious in the amount of money people need to invest to prepare the home for market, because we're not in an appreciating market. So we really
Yeah.
want to watch the budget. But there are certainly things that can be done to make your home very appealing to a buyer. But it doesn't work unless you do that and price it right.
I can tell you that is incredible advice. And that, fortunately, I had a real estate agent out here in Dallas. I sold the house a couple of years ago, and she gave me that same advice. And I was living somewhere where people were selling, we were in townhouses, and they're really trying to get top dollar for their houses. And
Mhm.
so I had a guy over here who's, you know, selling really high, and I've got a guy over here, or priced really high, not
Right.
selling, which is
Ha,
key.
difference.
And I remember, speaking with Kimberly, my real estate agent, and she said, John, you want to price correctly, because when that home doesn't move in the first 2 weeks or the first month or what have you, now there's questions. Why isn't the house moving?
Right.
And then when you have to adjust that price, there are more questions. And then there's now leverage from a negotiation standpoint from the buyer, right? Because it's,
Yeah.
oh, you're
Yeah.
lowering this. And it just becomes this snowball that starts to roll downhill. So I can confirm, as a former seller myself, great advice.
Yeah, yeah. And I've worked through some really tough markets. When the Great Recession of '07 to 2010, it was
Yeah.
a really, really tough declining market, and you didn't know how low could be.
Hmm.
And it was an exercise of how do you stop the ball from rolling down the hill further. And it taught me so much. And now that we're having this slower time, uh, certainly not the market falling apart like it did back then, but I can really pull from that experience in
Hmm.
how to adjust our pricing strategy, how to our communication strategy with buyers, like how can we meet their expectations and put each home in front of them and make it
Yeah.
rise to the top of their list. And
Yeah.
I've realized that many agents who have not been in business for more than 15 years, they've
Yeah.
never lived through a slow market, or worse, a declining market.
Right.
Uh, all they knew was how to write offers, how to put a sign in the yard, and then you sell a home. And there's a lot more to it when the market conditions are not as favorable.
Yeah, well, it sounds like that's invaluable experience with, over 20 years in this industry. I want to hear more about some of the lessons that you've learned through your career, but before, let's listen to a message from our sponsor, Sphere Rocket.
Business owners and entrepreneurs will place a proven executive assistant VA for just $4 to $8 an hour, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Imagine freeing up 20 plus hours a week by someone handling your most time-consuming tasks like admin work, managing emails, scheduling meetings, and so much more. This one hire could transform your productivity and give you back the time you need to focus on growing your business. At Sphere Rocket VA, we make this possible in as little as 7 days. We'll place a proven executive assistant VA in your business for just $4 to $8 an hour, and your VA will take over day-to-day administrative tasks, help manage your email and calendar, follow up with past clients, giving you back 20 plus hours a week so you can increase your sales and even enjoy more personal time. And here's the best part. If they don't give you back 20 plus hours a week in the first month, you don't pay Sphere Rocket a dime. We've done this for thousands of business owners, and now it's your turn to see the results. Click the link around this video to schedule a demo and discover how this one hire can completely change how you run your business. Remember, if within 45 days the VA doesn't perform, you don't pay.
All right, Carrie. So you were just sharing how experience going through the ups and downs over decades of the industry are so important because if you haven't been at the bottom and you've only experienced the upside, it's really hard to operate when the market is shifting. So thinking back to day one as a real estate agent, if you were to speak to your former self and give your former self advice on day one of starting this business, what would you say?
Mm. Yeah, I have to really go back. I had so much enthusiasm when I first started, but with that, also a lot of insecurities about how do you start? How is someone going to trust me with a purchase or the sale of their home, which is a huge financial transition in their lives? And I knew at the time that I really wanted to develop a business based on the community and being supportive and guiding, but it was really easy just to jump in instead. So in that sense of desperation of, oh, can I get a client? And then you finally get a client and you just dive in to the process. And what I learned is that that can quickly get out of hand. And because there aren't expectations set at the beginning or a meeting of the minds to clearly learn what the person needs or how
Yeah.
they best communicate, because it's so much more than just searching for a house. And when you're first starting out, you're usually working with buyers, and that's how you get to know everything that's out there and get familiar with homes. So I did that for a long time and had a great buyer business, but where I eventually had to get to was, let's sit down and talk first.
Yeah.
And let's learn about what you need, what you want, how I work, what you can expect from me, and build some guidelines so we can have really smooth communication. Because
Mm.
when you do find that house and there's a lot of excitement and emotion involved, we have to get back to the process and we have to make some big decisions about numbers and timing. And that's where educating my clients came in. Really, I learned I had to sit down first and talk about the buying process, talk about what to expect with how writing an offer, what to expect for timing of delivery of an offer, what happens when you get an accepted offer, what does an inspection mean, and what goes on with that. Because it's like a fire hose coming in if they don't have a good benchmark of knowing what to expect. So
Yeah.
I had to kind of take a step back and build really a consultation process. And that has really, it's been the framework that we still work from.
Yeah, I think understanding expectations is very important both in personal life and in business, right? I was actually just having this conversation with my son 2 days ago about the importance of setting expectations. And so that's a great point is don't just jump headlong. Take the time. They're not going to run away from you,
Yeah.
right? If you
I
take the
think
time to
people
have this
appreciate it.
conversation.
It gives
Yeah.
everybody guardrails, and
Hmm.
it really stems great conversations. So, but it's also a balance in my personal life too, because real estate can absolutely take over. I can't tell you how many times I missed dinner or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. But sometimes I have to have limits. I'm not really good at setting those because I tend to put the client first, and
Hmm.
we work on deadlines, and when things come up you have to deal with it,
Hmm.
but we have to be able to be pretty concise in dealing with it, so
Yeah.
we all can have life.
Yeah. Well, another lesson I'd love to learn from you about is building a team.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of real estate agents who are listening or watching to this podcast. And so a lot of folks come in, right? You're basically a solopreneur, right? And
Mhm.
so upon finding success, then a lot of people will build a team. But if you've never done it before, how do you do this effectively? What
Yeah.
what do you want to avoid? What mistakes do you want to avoid making?
Mhm.
Walk us through a little bit about how to effectively build a successful real estate team.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until I joined Keller Williams that I had the framework for it. I mean, I really learned so much from reading the MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book that Gary
Hmm.
Keller wrote. It truly is a guide that I still live by. It was like the textbook for real estate that I needed at 10 years into my business. And God, I wish I had it when I first started. It's
Yeah.
pretty brilliant and it simplifies what you need to do. So I was all in when I joined Keller Williams. And I had been with my parents for a few years and then another brokerage, and both really great experiences, but I was needing more. And I had my Nike background, and that's what I needed. I needed like the Nike of real estate, where
Yeah.
there were ideas and like-minded people and vision for a bigger business.
Hmm.
And that's it. I really just applied what I learned about building the models in a business. And one of the models is an organizational structure. And if there's too much for one person to do, you need support. And so it
Yeah.
started with having a transaction coordinator. And that freed up so many hours because at that point we were still faxing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. But then when it got to the point where the number of homes and clients really demanded another person to help show homes and be part of it, it's a hard thing to do, to trust another person to share your clients that you've committed to, and
Oh, yeah.
how do you do that handoff and ensure that they're going to get the same care and expertise and guidance that you've committed to them.
Yeah.
So there were a few false starts with not having the right person in
Hmm.
that role. But once I found the right person, and there is that I attribute it to really good luck, but also the fact that we we work together so well. We've been able to blossom and dynamically bounce back and forth with our clients and know that they absolutely are being cared for in a high level. And that person that had joined me back, I think it was 2015, is Kate Bergsgaard. And
Mm.
she is amazing as like such an absolute like rock solid person. And we have our business minds are really similar. We work fast, we work smart, we try to communicate, we try to over communicate and be there for our clients. And we just had a really great dynamic. So my biggest fear of how do I hand off and still take care of my clients, as long as we explained that we work together and that
Mm.
Kate is connected to me, everything works out. It just has to do with communication and doing that consultation really well at the beginning, so they know
Yeah.
how we work together. And
Yeah, right back to that original point,
mhm,
right? Set those
yeah,
expectations in that
yeah,
consultation time. Yeah.
absolutely. And it's wonderful to have someone to talk to about what's happening in a transaction or what our clients need and how do we best suit their needs. What
Oh,
do we
yeah.
do? All the dynamics that we run into and the problems we run into during a transaction. It's wonderful to have that person there who sees it clearly or maybe even sees it differently, so we can bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah, it's a huge difference, both the ups and the downs, right? When you have someone to
Mhm.
share that with, someone who can relate,
Mhm.
and be there for you when things are tough, relate,
Yeah.
talk shop, brainstorm, and then also celebrate the successes that your guys are having together as well. Well,
Yeah.
you are doing so many fantastic things in Beaverton. You're implementing this innovative data and marketing. You're doing community events very generous in that aspect. Obviously, we talked about how you're a thought leader and sharing your knowledge to help other people learn from you. My last question for you is, what do you want people to remember about what you're building and the impact that you're making?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't think of it as just me anymore because I do have the team. And in addition to Kate, I also have Terry McClelland, who's joined as a buyer agent, but also works on the listings with me. And then we've got incredible support from Rachel, who is our transaction manager. And now we've got Perry, who is handling all of our marketing. And so we really are a team. And so I have a hard time saying, what should people learn from me? Because we're an example of how you can work together and how you can truly care for your clients. And that's really the most important thing for me. It's not about being number one in the area. It's not about calling myself the best in the area. It's truly about having our clients have really good experiences, feeling like we care, feeling like we will guide them well, and having that trust. And that we're just a really nice neighbor and community member to have around. I really don't need anything more than that.
I think there's just a lot that comes from just being a good person and being around really great people who just genuinely are there to help and, make life wonderful for everybody else, whether that's personally or whether that's business, right?
Yeah, it's a really nice place to be, to really come from approach of abundance and gratitude versus feeling like I'm fearful or desperate for the next move. I know business will come if we treat people well and treat ourselves well. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, very, very last question for you, Carey, is if I am someone who's looking for a home in Beaverton, or if I am trying to learn more about the local market dynamics, and clearly you are the person to reach out to here, how can I get a hold of you?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm always open to helping people. So you can find me directly on my website, careyhugheshomes.com. We're also quite active on Instagram, Facebook. We're building a series of informational videos and really starting to dive into putting more information on YouTube. So there's a Carey Hughes Homes YouTube page as well. But it's as quick as easy as a quick Google or AI search, and you can find me.
Fantastic. Well, Carey, it was wonderful having you. It was great talking shop about Nike and fantastic learning more about the real estate industry and all that Beaverton has to offer. Thank you for joining me today on the Leverage Podcast.
Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure.